I love to see the towns passing by and to ride these rails neath God's blue sky. Let me travel this land from the mountains to the sea, 'cause that's the life I believe He meant for me. And when I'm gone and at my grave you stand, say God called home your rambling man.
Welcome to Ramblin' Man Podcast episode number 37. This one is with Mark Lane, who is a firefighter that also happens to be diabetic. Spoiler alert. And I just talked to him about what it's like being both. Just the fact that you can be a firefighter even though you're diabetic. Really sweet guy. Really great story. If you'd like to follow along on his journey, follow him on Instagram at instagram.com/markwebblane. MarkWeblane. Our sponsor this week is a returning sponsor, Feral Giant. Feral Giant is a graphic design, illustration, and social media consultant firm here in Knoxville, Tennessee. They handle everything from brand design to photography, illustration, videography, podcasting, digital marketing, web design. Anything your heart can desire, they can produce it for you. You can find them online at feralgiant.com and all the appropriate social media / and at Feral Giant, FERALGIANT. We thank again Feral Giant for sponsoring this episode. Without much further ado, here's the episode with Mark.
Samantha is getting had some sinus stuff, and now I'm getting the tingle. So hopefully my voice will last.
Oh, it's fine.
I don't really have a voice for radio,
voice.
but yeah, exactly.
I think the most cigars I've ever smoked in a row were, I was in Charleston with some friends and we smoked 5 a day.
Oh my God.
For 5 or 6 days in a row.
Are you serious?
And when I drove home, I couldn't speak.
Oh, I'd say.
Like my throat was so burned.
Oh.
But even like right now, because the weather's changing and all that crap, my throat's raw and hurting. It's not the cigars I smoked yesterday. At least that's what I tell myself.
Oh my gosh. I think I've had 2 or 3 in one 24-hour period, and that was enough.
I make fun of Aaron because anytime Ben smokes, I think he's finally given up. Aaron, Slocum, I forgot I'm supposed to also start naming full names and explaining who they are on this. I joked about creating a cheat sheet on the website. It's like, this is this person, this. So Aaron Slocum, formerly of Knoxville Weekend, I don't know what to say about Aaron, Spitfire, Aaron Slocum.
Yes, very much.
Anytime Ben smokes, her husband, Ben Slocum. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm going to make fun of Stephanie for saying that. Stephanie Romer.
I was going to say full
the
name.
Tiki Bar. Shout out. Ben said that Aaron makes him take like 3 showers before he can come to bed. I was like, man, it's not even... Okay, I've been single too long because it's not that bad to me.
No. Well... Yeah, you live with somebody else. My wife, Samantha, she's like, put your clothes in the separate laundry basket or throw them outside. I do the laundry anyway, but she's like, they need to be washed immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. Mine's stupid little cigars. Like, my joke is we sat out here one night and I had a fire pit going. I had cooked bacon during the day. I had a fire pit and I smoked cigars. I was like, I think if I would have walked by somebody, I would have gotten them pregnant.
Yes.
And I'm sure that is very inappropriate in 2019. But
bottle that sin up and you can sell it.
It was just It was the smell of Ron Burgundy. I think if it would have had cured meats. It did have cured meats. It had bacon.
Bacon, yeah.
Oh, my God.
The smell of bacon, there's something, and it sticks to you, especially Benton's bacon. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
You make a pan of Benton's bacon. And
my kitchen smells like that for at least 3 days. So I finally had to start closing my bedroom door because I was like, it gets a little musty. It's like because it's not full on.
Yeah. That's great.
Hello. That's okay. All the ambient noise is fine. I'm just curious if he's going to stop. I need an air horn to just be like, no. I had 3 people just roll up on my front door the other day.
Really?
And I was sitting there working and had music going and didn't hear it because they just like that. And I didn't hear it. And then all of a sudden it was bam, bam, bam. And I looked out the window and I think the person saw me and started waving. I went, nope. I don't know what the 3 of you want. It's the middle of the day on like a Tuesday. No, I'm good.
They weren't wearing like white short sleeve shirts with ties or
I scared the shit out of one of those kids. 2 of them walked up, and one of them you could tell was new. One of them had been doing it a while.
Mm-hmm. And
the one who's doing it, who was new, I just opened the door, and I was wearing like shorts I sleep in and a shirt that was probably all cockeyed. My beard looked like Gumby. And the kids, and the new one was like, so we would like to talk to you. I was like, cool down, man. And the other guy was like, he was just staring at me. I was like, calm down, man. What do you want? And he's like, we want to talk to you about it. I was like, I already read your damn book.
Yeah.
And the other kid was like, really? I said, yeah. And I just pointed back to it up on my shelf. I was like, I've read your book. I've read the Torah. I've read the Quran. I've read the Satanic Bible.
Oh, my gosh.
I started listening off, and that guy was like, you read all that? I was like, yeah. I'm not dumb.
Probably read.
Have you all read all those books?
Exactly.
And they're like, well, we really want to. I was like, no, man, you gotta go. And the kid who was older, he was just like, so we need to leave. It's like, if y'all want to come in, I'll talk to y'all about this shit. But
yeah, you probably
I'm a dick.
Probably better versed than they are on.
Pull up book clips from Book of Mormon.
Oh my gosh,
The play and be like, have you seen this? No,
I have not seen that. I kind of dated a girl in college, in one of my college escapades. Different colleges, I guess.
We
you'd
won't
say.
talk about those.
Yeah. But we went on like a couple dates, and I found out she was like a devout Mormon.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't find out until I like went to meet her family too. I met her mom and dad, and it was like just very odd.
Yeah.
And then basically, I was getting ready to go in the Air Force, and I was like, this ain't going to work. It wasn't going to work anyway if I was going to stick around Johnson City, but I was like, this isn't going to work. So we were really good friends, and we stayed in touch. And this is about the time I got, like, email was getting more common. And I got through basic training into my follow-up, and I got an email from her. And she said, and before I left, she said that she was going to go out west and find her husband. And I got an email as soon as I got to my follow-up training. About a week later, I got an email from her saying she was getting married in about 3 weeks.
Wow.
And I was like, all right, well, it was
the love was strong there.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. I think we were more friends than anything anyway. We were just kind of getting to know each other anyway. So
a Mormon in Johnson City.
Yeah.
Mormons of Johnson City sounds like a band. Mormons of Johnson City.
They'd be death rock probably.
Yeah.
But with
like
Mormon twist
and magic underpants. Magic underpants. Sorry, Mormons. The Mormon Church is not the sponsor of this podcast.
Oh my gosh.
They may be. That would be funny.
Oh, God.
Okay, so you were in the Air Force.
Yes, I was in the Air Force for 4 years.
Really? Okay. What led you to that? Was it just? Did you do ROTC or anything? In
I did
high
not.
School?
No, I actually through high school. I was kind of. I don't know. We didn't have ROTC, and I went to a county school up in the Tri-Cities. I went to Sullivan Central, and so we didn't have ROTC. But I was kind of like, not really against the military, but I was just like, I don't want to do ROTC.
Right.
They're kind of most of the time they're dorks. I hate to say that, but.
No comment.
Okay.
No comment.
In
high school, the print shop was right next to ROTC, and some of them took it a little too seriously.
Yeah.
One of which, because I don't think he'll ever hear this, is a police officer in town and got suspended for a while for beating his wife.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them took it a little too seriously. But
Yeah.
the other ones, just one of my buddies did not and got reprimanded for not wearing his tie. And
Oh, my gosh.
his shirt was undone. They were like,
Out of uniform.
"Soldier, you're," and he was like, "I'm a freshman in high school. Calm
Exactly,
the hell down,
yeah.
man."
I was just a very I don't know. I guess you'd say I wasn't an underachiever, but I definitely wasn't an overachiever.
Did you play sports or anything?
I love sports. I was always active, baseball, football, whatever.
Okay.
from the time I could you know, throw and catch. I was trying to keep up with my older brother. I have an older brother.
Okay.
Miles Lane. If
okay.
We're saying first and last names, right? Yeah, he's 4 years older, and he was like a young Tom Cruise. Like I was always under his.
Okay.
I was always like the younger brother, the little brother. Oh, you're Miles' little brother. You're Miles' little brother. He's like, he was attractive. All the girls loved him. Great, like very athletic. He could play any sport he wanted to, and he played a lot of them. And he was a like scar athlete, like 8 times in a row running. You know, it was just like, and here I am trying to make C's and just make varsity on on the football team. I get to high school, and my high school coach is like, "All right, we got big hopes for you." And then he's like, "Well, you're not like your brother." Like after the first practice, so, and some more.
Oh my God!
It was a mid-90s, so he said it in a little bit more.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't get called a pussy by my high school football coach for not hitting a guy hard enough. That didn't happen.
I love pulling some of my high school football coaches hump hammer or needle dick or just they would be so fired today. So fired.
Sorry, I'm gonna segue for a second. My high school football coach, my line coach, has a metal plate in his head, grabbed a kid by the ear holes and headbutted him with the helmet on, cracked the helmet.
Oh my gosh.
He also did that to a kid in gym class. We were running inside the gym because it was raining. One kid was picking on another kid. The bigger kid, he mid-stride flipped around, grabbed him by the ears, headbutted him. The kid went flat down.
Yeah.
And then the coach kept running. That is a beloved man that the stadium is named after.
At Fulton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's probably why y'all won state and stuff, right?
All of those happened. I watched all of those happen.
Tough love. It
2019, it's
winners,
like, he's the sweetest guy. It's like, he is. He is the nicest human being on the planet, but not when it comes to football, man. You don't mess around.
Yeah,
They call me Judy all through high school.
Oh, my gosh.
Because my uncle told him that's what my name was.
Oh, my
Lord. Like, I think they talked about me having panties, too.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't think any of that's appropriate. I don't care.
I think it builds character, though. I mean...
It builds something.
It does.
Okay, so you play, and you were trying to make varsity.
Yeah,
and your brother.
I mean, luckily, I mean, I had enough, I guess, natural ability from my brother and my family.
Right.
And, neither one of my parents played anything. I don't know. I know one of my grandfathers was pretty good at basketball.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was the country. It was the county.
Right.
Northeast Tennessee. So nobody went to school, to play sports back then. My dad was a truck driver. Been listening to your podcast. I'm like, oh man, we got like some stuff in common. So
was he a long haul or a city driver?
He was a Teamster, and he wasn't. It was just like your dad, like going in the 80s, 70s and 80s. All the trucking companies like going under, and then like he would. I told my wife just the other day about. I remember distinctly being in my room, my mom and dad coming in for the piggy bank, and they're like, we're going to have to borrow some money from the kids because dad got laid off again, and this is his 4th job. And I know he was a hard worker. He wasn't at a lot of our sporting events because he's out driving. He'd be gone for 4 or 5 days in a row or so and come back. But he recently told me a story about how they would try. He was trying so hard, and he came back from a trip and found out he was laid off. There was no more work for him, and he immediately just went to the trucking company down the street, applied, and they said, "Well, when can you start?" And he said, "Immediately." And they said, "Well, go get in the truck." And he just came back from a 12-hour drive, got in the truck, and drove again. And so he finally got into the Teamsters, and ended up retiring just a couple years ago from YRC, Yellow Roadway.
Oh, yeah. So, which I think they bought out a bunch of people. I think by the end they owned Holland, which Dad worked for. I think Yellow owns it.
I think so, yeah.
It's a wild.
It was a big merger. Like both Roadway and Yellow, from what I understand, bought a bunch of different companies, and then they just merged. And we're keeping our fingers crossed he still keeps his pension because that's still a mess. So
the stuff at the end with even the Teamsters kind of screwed them, and like in negotiations where they all had to take pay cuts, and like healthcare wasn't as good, and he was just kind of like, what the hell's the point of me having you?
Yeah,
if you're not helping me, He was
Exactly.
not happy
Yeah.
about any of that. But
And I mean, one of the main reasons my dad kept his job so long, he could have retired a couple years ago, but my mom was going through a lot of cancer treatments and stuff.
yeah.
And if he quit his job or went for another job that wasn't a Teamster job, he would have lost his insurance.
Oh, yeah.
And she would have been, I mean, she was taking medications that were thousands of dollars for a pill, and just if you're uninsured, there's no way, there's no survival.
I'm trying to think what the number was. Mom said at the end of her breast cancer, when she beat it, I'm going to knock on wood as much as I can, she got the bill for the full amount, and it was some crazy number like $400,000 or $500,000. But it was all the stuff the insurance had covered, not the copays, not any of the stuff out of pocket, the deductibles. But she looked at it and said something like, "Well, there's what my life's worth right there."
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It was crazy. Like,
yeah,
same thing. She was lucky that she had Dad's insurance and her insurance from the phone company to help. Like, if it wouldn't been for that, God knows. But yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Insurance,
high school, playing sports, not into ROTC. So what do you do after? What are your plans after high school?
So my brother was 4 years older than me. He had gone on to play football he walked on the football team at Wofford College.
Okay.
SoCon school. And every weekend we'd be going during football season. We'd go see him play, and I really wanted to do that too. So I wasn't the best student, like I said.
Yeah.
I applied to a couple schools, a couple SoCon schools, and I got put on a waiting list at Appy State, which was probably a blessing.
Yeah.
If I would have went there, I would have. Lord knows, I probably wouldn't be alive now. Ski town,
Yeah.
And it would have just been bad news.
Yeah.
But I basically decided I'd go to Chattanooga, UTC, and I walked on the team there for a year. And that was kind of an eye opener. It was the first time I'd ever had a strength coach.
Yeah.
Like other than the coach being like, go in there and move that bar around and blah blah blah. So I kind of found a passion for working out and being fit, and I wasn't at that level. I couldn't. I never dressed out for varsity. They had a JV team. That was one reason I wanted to walk on there.
Mm-hmm.
So at least I would get some playing time, even though it would be JV. I moved out. I played tight end and defensive end in high school, and I moved out to wide receiver because I was about the same size I am now as I was in high school, and I just stopped growing. All my friends kept growing.
Okay.
But I've just never been one to. I could never like bulk up and get big, and I still can't. But even when we were doing 2-day practices and had a strength coach and stuff like that, I was getting stronger. I was probably the slowest wide receiver on the team, but
why not? Why not keep you at tight end?
Well, I was little for that for that school,
even at UTC.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
But I thought of myself as tough. I mean, if you threw me the ball, I might drop it in practice. I rarely dropped a pass in games in high school, and I mean I remember many, tight end cross patterns that I just got knocked out.
Oh yeah.
But I held on to the ball, luckily, and I did that. So I played JV. I remember. Well, I don't remember really, but I got knocked out at Kentucky playing their JV team. The quarterback called an audible and pointed at me and like drug his hand across the field. And I was like, all right, he wants me to run a slant. And sure enough, woke up on the sideline. That was probably an earlier concussion of many.
Yeah. So. Oh my God. I didn't realize I was talking to Troy Aikman over here.
Yes. But so from there, I just never knew what I wanted to do in college. I mean, I think I was just going to check the box.
Because your brother had done it.
Because my brother had done it.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody was doing. Everybody goes to college, right?
Yeah.
And actually, coming out of high school, I took a lot of drafting and graphic design classes back then. And I graduated in 98. So they're very like rudimentary computer based, if any.
Yeah.
All the drafting was by hand except for our last year.
Yeah.
We finally got some software. But I thought maybe that was something I wanted to do, and then I don't know. It just went from there. Like I met a girl at UTC. Her father was in the military or had been in the military, and I kind of got those wheels rolling. So I thought I would transfer to ETSU. We talked about transferring. We both transferred to ETSU, and I was going to try ROTC because UTC didn't have ROTC at the time, even though I said ROTC guys are dorks. But
yeah.
But thought I'd give it a shot because I still wanted to try the college thing. And, man, I was part of ROTC for like 2 weeks. And I was like, these guys run all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't want to be in the Army. I don't want to run all the time. I'm not a marathon runner.
Yeah.
So quickly quit that, and then school soon followed.
Oh, my God. Did you try to walk? Because ETSU still had football back then.
And I didn't walk on the football team, but I was a good supporter. I was actually this mascot for a year for the last football season.
Oh, my God. I thought you were going to say cheerleader for a second.
No, Samantha, my wife, is like, never tell anybody that you were a mascot. She hates it. And I'm like, but I was the sidekick mascot. I was the parrot. You remember that? I used to have a pirate.
Oh, my God, yes.
And a parrot. And my friend was the main mascot. And they had to back up, like, the old Pepper the Parrot was what his name was. And so you had this big old fat suit. So for one football season, that was as long as I was in school there, I was Pepper.
Parrot.
I was the last Pepper.
Oh, my God. Do any of your buddies at work know this?
Oh, my gosh. I don't know.
Are you going to ask me to cut this out in 3 days from now?
Yes. This needs to be edited. I was never there. I was never ETSU.
I just won't promote so Faddis or none of the guys will see it.
I think there might be a handful. There might be one or two, but it's all right. So it built me.
Yeah.
I am who I am.
Oh, my God. Was that a hard process becoming the mascot? Were there a bunch of people vying for it, or
it wasn't that? I mean, it was. I liked it. I liked it, and I really wanted to get to like follow up and like continue it. I wanted to do the whole like they sent my friend to fall school or like clown school to learn how to fall and tumble and do all these things and but it just wasn't in the cards for me. I was at that time I started meeting with the Air Force recruiter.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was that recruiter worked his tail off. When I finally came down to Knoxville and swore in, he was like, "You cannot get in trouble. You cannot like leave me or anything. Like I have earned my paycheck with you. Like I've never worked this hard with it to recruit any one person." So it was probably a year I talked to him on and off, and so that's where we were. That was August of 2001.
Oh, shit.
Then September 11th happened.
Yeah.
So, and firefighting had always been like in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
I had volunteered a little bit with Sullivan County Volunteer Fire Department.
Yeah.
We'd done some training, and it was just like the coolest. I mean, it was basically like all the adrenaline of a football game wrapped up into about like 5 minutes when you're on the fire ground in the training. And I was just like, I just got bit by it. And the Air Force that was one thing I thought about I wanted to do in the Air Force, but one reason I kept putting off going to the Air Force is that job was closed. They'll close and open jobs depending on manpower.
Oh, okay.
So I basically finally settled. Well, I didn't settle, but one of my options was I came down to Knoxville to do the entry program, and I found out I failed my depth perception. My eyesight was not great.
Yeah.
So it took me out of a lot of flight jobs. And at the time, I wanted to be a firefighter, or you hear all these things about the PJs, the pararescuemen. It kind of took me out of those jobs, or a gunner or something like that. Some flight job.
Aren't you too tall to be a pilot?
Well, yes, but I was also enlisting. So being a pilot, if you're enlisting, it's a long road. It would be I'd have to enlist and then get a commission, like get my bachelor's and then get a commission and then become a pilot.
Okay, because my experience, I got recruited real hardcore by the Navy and the Air Force at a high school, and I think it was either the Navy or the Air Force guys showed up to my house, took one look up at me, and was like, "You're not going to do." I was like, "What?" And he was like, "You're way past the height limit."
You probably couldn't. I mean, I say flight jobs as in like anything that is a flight crew, not necessarily a pilot, but like I said, like a helicopter gunner, or they have gunners in C-130s and stuff. So, which after watching, was that Apocalypse Now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that or
Although that
Full
was
Metal
back
Jacket,
in
I was like,
that
I don't
was
know
back
if I
in the
would be
day where
good.
you just had a gun and you had no strap or
Exactly.
anything. You're just hanging there.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Whereas now those guys are probably like tethered into within and wearing so much armor.
Okay, yeah.
Like back then, those guys were wearing like shorts and a tank top. Like,
Yeah.
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 Because I'm sure those are documentaries, right? Apocalypse Now is a documentary. What the hell am I talking? Oh my God. Okay. So you go to the Air Force. Your eyesight prevents you.
Limits me. So I take a guaranteed spot as a aerospace maintenance apprentice.
Okay.
Which I'm working on aircraft. Basically, I get assigned to C-130s, which I was
Holy
lucky.
crap.
I loved them. Like, I even asked my recruiter, I was like, I want to work on this plane if I'm working on planes. For some reason, I always liked them. I like old cars and old planes. So,
Right.
So I come down here. My parents were not happy about it. I'm probably the first person to be in the military in my family, in my bloodline, I guess you'd say, since since one of my great uncles, he was in the Army Air Corps, and he never came back from the Pacific Theater. So he was a mechanic also. Okay. And from everything that I'm told, Uncle Hop, which I love that name, like Hop.
Uncle Hop, yeah. Oh my God.
He was in the Pacific Theater. Before he left, they had Belgian horses, draft horses, and one of the horses bit him on the collarbone and broke his collarbone. Well, I don't know if it ever healed or something, but he got over there. Somehow it broke again or something. He was on a medevac flight out, and the flight took off and never.
Oh, wow.
They lost communications, and they think it either got in a storm or shot down or something.
That's crazy.
So September 11th happens, and everybody has their stories.
What has your brother done? What was he doing at this time? What did he do after college?
After college, he actually moved back to Knoxville.
Okay.
And he was in South Carolina for a while, moved back to the Tri-Cities and then back to Knoxville and was working for a computer company. He does programming. This is how smart he is. He was a double major in computer science and chemistry.
Jeez.
At Wofford
Lord.
College. So, and
That
here I am.
makes my brain hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good Lord.
So right now he currently works for. Oh, I'm gonna screw it up. It's like Spartanburg Methodist, Regional Methodist Hospital.
Okay.
He does some programming and things I can't even comprehend
great.
with
Okay.
my mind. So
September 11th happens.
Yeah.
You're in Knoxville.
At that time I'm living in Johnson City.
Okay.
Living with my parents, waiting to go in the Air Force.
Okay.
And I say living in Johnson City
Because the training was over.
It's
and you're waiting to get stationed.
Delayed entry.
Okay.
I came down to Knoxville and swore in and did the military entry program, and then delayed entry because I had a guaranteed spot. It was a window of time that I had to go to my basic training and stuff. So I came back.
Okay.
I had about 2 months that I was going to be just kind of waiting
When did the 2
around.
months start?
I think it started like August. It was right before my birthday, so it was like mid-August.
I'm just curious if this window is September 11th falls within this window.
It did. So I was in delayed entry, and then September 11th happened, and I was on my way back I had spent the night at a friend's house in Johnson City, coming back to see my dad or come back home, and I hear on the radio, like, a plane has flown into one of the buildings. We're getting reports, blah, blah, blah. I get back home. My dad, he just got back from a trip.
Yeah.
And my mom's at work. At the time she was working at Eastman Chemical in Kingsport.
Okay.
And my dad's like just kind of getting up, waking up for the day. And I was like, we got to turn on the news. And my dad and I just sat there and watched the whole thing unfold live on TV. It's something anybody that lived through that will never forget.
Nope.
So I didn't really freak out at first. And then the next day, I remember I called my recruiter and I was like, I want to go help. I want to go. I either want to go into. I want to go into basic training right now, or I'm going to New York or do something.
Yeah.
And he was like, sit your ass down.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything.
Yeah.
I remember that whole thing. I worked my ass off to get you in the Air Force.
Yeah.
So he said, just stay by your phone and we'll call if something changes. But other than that, I had I think it was like the 1st of October or the end of September I was supposed to go. So, but I remember my mom, we went to pick her up. The Eastman basically shut down all non-essential personnel, and we went and picked her up, and we went to the local Mexican restaurant chain up there, and she just all of a sudden, like, everything was fine. We were talking about, like, this is crazy, what's going on, and she just all of a sudden just started crying.
This is on September 11th.
This is on September 11th.
Okay.
The day, yeah, like right at 1 o'clock or so. And she was like, you know, you're going in the military. We didn't want you to go, and this is going to be your generation's Vietnam.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. I was like, I'm going to be a mechanic. I'm not even going to be, even if I deploy, I'm not going to be, you know, close. I won't even have a gun. And we've got bombs, and we'll just push a button, and it'll be fine. We'll find our enemy, and it'll be over, you know, before we even know it. Yeah. How? So young, naive, you know, always listen to your mom and dad, folks out there in podcast land. Like, but I was just, so I joke about my military service sometimes, because everything's said and done, I end up getting stationed in Little Rock, Arkansas, at an Air Education Training Command. I'm working on C-130s in a hangar that can house 6 of them, three nose to nose. So it's a huge aircraft hangar. And we're doing isochronal inspections. It's basically a calendar inspection. So, like, your car needs an oil change, you take it to the Jiffy Lube guy. That's what it is. They're bringing their cars in to get their oil change. They're bringing their aircraft C-130s in.
Oh my God!
And they're all training planes, so no one deploys. I'm there for 4 years, and I'm like, I'm working a factory job in the Air Force, you know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like a few years ago, before my mom passed away, we were talking about it, and she's like, I prayed every day you wouldn't get deployed. And I was like, well, dang it, Mom, your prayers are answered. Like, I sat in Little Rock the whole time. The only time I traveled was when I was in the honor guard or playing rugby, and it was like, and that was that was in Midwest.
No offense to Little Rock. I hear it's actually really nice now. It's got an arts community, and it's a great city now, but Little Rock, good Lord, the heat.
Oh, yeah.
I can't.
And landlocked. It's just too far out of the way to drive to, like, New Orleans.
Yeah. Or even Memphis. Good Lord.
Right, yeah.
The drive from Little Rock to Memphis
is so boring.
Stupid.
I did it a few times. I had some friends that were in med school at the time, so that was good.
I drove to Bald Knob, Arkansas, to see a friend of mine from the internet. I was staying in Memphis, and that drive about killed me, because I think it was like 3 hours, 4 hours.
Yeah.
Because you went over on the interstate, and then you just took this back highway. I was like, I can see for 20 miles.
Yeah.
This is not, and then it hit a point where I was like, I do not want to drive this back at night, because God knows what's going to come out of these. Like, there could be a deer or something. I was like, no.
It is the natural state is its tagline, and it definitely is. It's flat, and actually, I mean, Little Rock itself, downtown Little Rock, North Little Rock, is a separate. Well, at the time, it was a separate city. I don't know if they've merged or whatever, but it reminded me a lot of Knoxville. And at the time, going in the military, I hated Knoxville. I never wanted to live here.
Oh my God, you're one of those.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in the Tri-Cities, and everything was like crammed down your throat. You either loved the Vols or you loved Virginia Tech, because we were right on the state line. And I was like, I don't care about either one, you know? Yeah. So, but I love I say that, you know, but now I love Knoxville. Yeah. I wouldn't think of living anywhere else right now. And it was an interesting time. And I actually liked my drives to and from. I mean, to go see my parents in Bristol to Little Rock was like a 10 or 12 hour drive.
Yeah.
But sometimes you'd hit past Memphis. There's nothing there, but there would be these thunderstorms like way off in the distance. And it would just keep me awake, you know, like, this is amazing. Like,
the last time I drove to Memphis, on the way back, it was storming so bad. It was storming so bad that I think we were doing 5 miles per hour on the road, and it was all truck drivers going across the bridge. I was like, I think I'm going to die here.
Yeah.
Like, it was insane. And I actually left early to miss the storm, and I happened to catch the storm.
Right in Memphis.
I was like, awesome. Okay. Stayed in Arkansas 4 years, so you technically started in 2001.
Yes.
Iraq started in 2003. Yeah. So at the end of the 4 years, were they not clamoring to have people re-enlist, or did they?
They were, and this is, I guess, another blessing in disguise happens. It's when I was up for re-enlistment. I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought about getting out and go in the go National Guard and trying to get my bachelor's, and therefore maybe becoming an officer, or just getting out, or re-enlisting as a mechanic again. I didn't really want to. I was working that factory job. I kind of wanted to get out.
In Arkansas.
Exactly. And one of the times I went to Memphis around, I think it was Martin Luther King weekend or something, and to visit. My dad was driving through town. He just happened to be, there's a terminal there for Yella Freight.
Okay.
He was there. My brother was in town with one of his friends from Ohio to go to the casinos in Tunica.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, I was working a weird swing shift, and I was like, I'm just going to come up and see y'all. So we met in Memphis, and we're going to go get barbecue, and I get in the back seat of my brother's car, I believe, or something, and my dad's up front, and I hadn't seen them in months, and I just fall asleep. Like, I was so exhausted. And my dad was like, something's not right with you. And I'm like, I've been working swing shift. I'm about at the end of my enlistment. I've been under stress. So my brother's a diabetic. He was diagnosed when he was 12.
Yeah.
So I've grown up around it all the time, but my dad was like, let's just check your blood and see what's going, if it's a little out of whack, maybe you're hypoglycemic or something. We checked my blood, and it was like 480.
What is it normally?
A normal blood sugar range is like 80 to 110, 120.
Lord.
So I looked at him, and I was like,
going through like,
it was like syrup.
Blah.
Yeah. So I'd just driven from Little Rock. I'd had like nothing to eat. I had like jerky or something like that. And
God love being young.
Yes, I do. So I was starving, and I'm like, I've got to eat. And my brother's like, basically, my brother looked at me and was like, well, welcome to the club. You're diabetic. Yeah. And my dad was freaking out. He's like, we got to go to the hospital. We got to get to the hospital. I was like, no, we got to eat first because they're not going to feed me in the hospital. Yeah. My blood sugar's already like up, what? So I ended up staying in the hospital for the night, I think maybe 2 nights. And that kind of kicked in to not being able to re-enlist. I basically was medically discharged from that.
Being in the Air Force, they don't give you routine physicals or checkups or anything?
They do.
But it just didn't catch it.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was...
just something they don't check for.
Right. I was 20... Let me see. I was 24 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
My brother's 12. I always remember I was like... he always gives me crap. He's like, well, at least you had twice as long as I did without diabetes, But... there's been a...
Start calling him Neo. Listen, Neo.
Yes.
Calm down.
Exactly. He kind of looked like a young, Keanu Reeves back in the day too. So he was a lady killer.
You look like Bill and Ted Keanu, not John Wick Keanu.
Yes. Exactly.
I'm giving you fodder. I was picked on by my dad and uncle so much. I've got like
you got it.
bukus of Okay, so you stay in the hospital. You're essentially, but it was coming right at the end of your 4 years.
Right towards the end. Yeah, I think I ended up serving. I think my enlistment paperwork said it was like 3 years, 10 months, and 11 days or something like that. And they were like, we could let you stay for your enlistment, but it was easier to out-process me like that and in-process me into the VA system because it was service connected. It was, and that's where kind of the blessing comes into play, because if I'd never enlisted and I was diagnosed with diabetes, diabetes supplies are crazy expensive.
Yeah.
And a lot of people give the VA, Veterans Affairs, for those that are unfamiliar, the healthcare system, a lot of crap, but they're really improving. I think they're really trying their best to improve.
I think most people want more money sank into it.
Yes.
I think that's like Jon Stewart's a big proponent of that, and like the 9/11 survivors fund and stuff. He was like, no, we should be spending more money and more due diligence and more. Had you been feeling funky for a little while?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Yeah.
For like months or a year? Or
for a while, but I thought I was working swing shift at the time. I was working these like weird 4 days, 5 days, 6 days in a row, or nights in a row, and then I'd have a few weeks off, and there'd be times that I stayed up 2 days in a row. Yeah. You're early 20s, you can do that. And I was my diet was horrible, but that doesn't really play into type 1. They say it doesn't, but I guarantee you my diet probably kicked it into high gear because I was like 2 Red Bulls a night, a Mountain Dew, and Powerade to stay awake and hydrated.
So now we're going to go down how many different types of diabetes are there? I'm guessing
yeah.
you did a lot of research and you're very knowledgeable because I don't know shit.
Yeah.
I know pre-diabetic.
Unless you know someone, unless you have a family member,
My mom is diabetic, but she just got it late in life and just...
Okay, so she's probably type 2.
Okay.
Type 2 is, I hope I get this right. There's type 1, which a lot of people call juvenile diabetes.
Is that the one you're kind of born with?
You're kind of born with, or with a disposition, a genetic disposition is what they say.
Is that the one where I've got 2 friends that have like little monitors that
little pumps and stuff
attached to them?
Yeah. Type 2s can be on that.
Yeah.
If they become really resistant to medication. Basically, like a type 2 is, if you think about it, like you've lived with, a lot of people say it's our Western diets, right? Like we like grains and we like carbs and we eat all this stuff that basically has high glycemic index. So when you eat it, your insulin spikes and then it brings your blood sugar down. Your pancreas creates insulin, which brings your blood sugar down.
Okay.
And type 1, either your body doesn't make insulin anymore, or it doesn't work as the key for your blood sugar to come down. Type 2, it's usually like it's been so overworked for such a long time, it's either desensitized or it's not. It's like it's fatigued, it's not making enough.
Okay.
And if untreated, you can become insulin dependent as a type 2.
Okay.
That one, a lot of people, that's one reason, like, there's a big misconception in types. Like, type 1 isn't a lifestyle thing. I mean, you can have a healthy little kid that's 8, 9. I've got a couple of cousins that are also type 1 that were, God bless their hearts, they were like 4 and 6 when they were diagnosed, or even, I think maybe even younger.
Wow.
And they did nothing for that. And then you've got some, but then again, you got to look at folks that are type 2. They didn't know, like most of them don't know that if they were just eating the way they were, that it was going to lead to diabetes.
And it's also, if you're more active, it helps combat it because you're burning sugar, or is that incorrect?
Type 2 sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it is. For me, honestly, there's been some research done, and Jay Cutler is a type 1 diabetic, or he was diagnosed with diabetes.
Although I feel like I have to spit because I'm a Bears fan. Every time I hear his name, I have to...
Me too. I really wanted him to do good. I really wanted him to...
What a lethargic bastard.
I know. And I think I'm going to blame the diabetes. He's got the beatus.
Oh, does he? The beatus.
He wasn't diagnosed until after he played at Vanderbilt.
Okay.
I think it may have been in his rookie year in Chicago. And so he was diagnosed later.
I thought he was at Miami before he went to Chicago. I can't remember.
Maybe.
I can't remember, but yeah.
But so he was diagnosed later on. And there's this whole, like, there's been some theories and some stuff I've read, some research that there's like a type 1.5. Okay. And this is kind of where I fell into, and I think where he fell into. You're diagnosed as a type 1. It presents as a type 1 at a later date, like early 20s, to mid 20s. Then you have what's called a honeymoon phase, where your blood kind of corrects and you don't really need medication.
Yeah.
My honeymoon phase was so extreme that I had corrective lenses. I had glasses for since 3rd or 4th grade.
Yeah.
And my vision corrected.
Wow.
Like, it was the blood flow. The doctor said the blood flow to my eyes was probably so good that it just helped my vision out temporarily. For like a month or so, I didn't need my glasses. It was weird. The weirdest thing. And then there's some other factors in there too, like you can get into chemistry, biochemistry, like your beta cell production is like almost nothing, almost non-existent, which helps your ketones and your insulins and all that stuff. But basically, you get back to being a type 1. You get back to being insulin dependent, so you need injections of insulin.
Is 1.5, is it preventative? Like if you lead a healthier lifestyle, not intake sugars and stuff more through your youth, that you can either... Is it always a delay, never a you'll not get it?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know there's some blood work tests out there that can say you may have this trait or DNA like disposition or something like that. they're still in the process, I think, of like kind of nailing down exactly what is this, like why are people getting it in their early 20s as opposed to like my brother when he was 12 or my cousins when they were really young.
Yeah.
And my doctors were like, it probably, the fact that I was active even into my 20s was probably a factor of it delaying.
Yeah.
And at the time I tried to, I was trying to play rugby with a local team in Little Rock and still being active there, but it probably was, I hate to say this, but they call it the chair force for a reason. It was probably the most unhealthy I'd been in a while. Like I was just a mechanic, and there was seldom forced PT. There was a fun run on once a month. You ran to the gate and back as a group. So I kind of like slipped back from being a walk-on football player to just being kind of a lazy, like, partying 20-year-old in the military.
How'd you find rugby? Did you find that in Little Rock?
So at UTC, when I walked on the team in Chattanooga, I kind of, my eyes were kind of open to the politics of college football and playing time and stuff like that. I wasn't the best player, and I didn't expect to dress out for varsity.
Right.
But I expected a fair shot. And, you do these different drills, Oklahoma drills and all these things back in the day. And one of my friends, they put the wide receivers up against the varsity wide receivers, and I knocked the crap out of him. I knocked his contacts out of his eyes. I hit him so hard. And they yelled at me and, like, pulled me over to the side and were like, take your helmet off and go sit out. You're being a practice hero. And I'm like, when else are you going to fight for your position?
Was he wearing a red shirt?
No. No.
He's fair game.
Jeez. I was always, so after that practice, I kind of was like, I'll see this season through to the end. I'll be a practice dummy, whatever. Turn my pads in. And at that time, one of the World Cups was going on. Or maybe it was like, I think it may have been 98 Rugby World Cup.
Okay.
They were re-showing some stuff, and one of my friends, Scott Black, he ends up later on down the road, he ends up being the SGA president at UT Chattanooga. Huh. But he and I kind of, we'd stay up at night watching Magnum PI and crap on like TV Land, and somehow we came
crap. Quality television.
Well, stuff I didn't need to be doing my freshman and sophomore year in college, and we found rugby, and I was like, and he had played at South Doyle.
Okay.
And he had played football there, but, I think we both needed something to fill that void of a team sport and, some physical, like, get your aggression out.
Right.
And so UTC didn't have a team at the time, but we were in contact with the guys in the club sports, and they're like, if you want a team, all you need is a person with the proper paperwork, and we can make you a club. And we kind of reached out to the local Chattanooga team, the men's team, and began practicing with them. He and I did, and we picked up a couple people, and we'd get some, get a little bit of playing time with these guys, and they were struggling with people too. Now Chattanooga men's team is awesome. They've got a great. I hate to say that. I don't love Nuga. They call them Nuga. They like to play physical and kind of dirty sometimes if they're out there.
Yeah.
But that's kind of part of sport. But at the time they were struggling. Both the school and the men's team were struggling for people. So we were just kind of learning off each other. And then, so when I transferred to ETSU, I continued. I tried to practice with the Johnson City men's team, and one of the first real games I played in was down here at what is it? The industrial park by the river.
Holston Gas?
No, not Three Rivers, but it's out east where Cruise Farm and all that.
Oh,
the ice cream
that's
shop
where
is.
Dad's truck, or Holland is.
I cannot think of the.
Shit, he'll kill me.
There's some
one.
soccer fields there now, out there.
Oh,
the youth soccer fields.
Okay.
And it had rained for like 4 days straight, and that place was just a swamp. And there's still some pictures out there, and I'm playing for the.
Drive me nuts. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yeah.
Keep going. Yeah.
So there's some pictures out there, and I'm playing in a Johnson City jersey, but I've played the majority of my time here in Knoxville with the Possums. So.
Possums.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What is that? Forks of the River.
Forks of the River.
That's
Thank
it.
God.
Yeah. I Google all the time, but
Yeah. Okay, so you played there.
yeah, just that was it was almost like a scrimmage because at the time neither team had an abundance of players.
And so when you went into the Air Force, you
Yeah.
found one in Little Rock.
Yeah, Little Rock had a pretty good men's team, and they had just acquired some land south of downtown, and now they've got a thriving team, a club. They've got 2 full-size pitches there. They call them pitches, not fields.
Yeah.
And it's it's a pretty cool place to play. They've got a little clubhouse and stuff, and there's some teams and clubs around the country that have luckily seen some good growth. You know, Knoxville, I think we're getting ready to celebrate our 40th birthday in a couple of years. I think we just did 35. I think they were founded in 80. So
Oh wow.
and it goes in waves. I think right now we're the team. I say I'm still on the team, but I'm like old boy status.
Oh my God. Does Adam still play Ingle?
He does.
Okay.
Sometimes he's old boy too.
Okay.
Old boy status. He was a hell of a player. He is a hell of a player. He still can throw a step, crow hop on somebody, and just throw them off.
There was a guy when I was in college, because I went to Pellissippi, that I still don't know how this worked out, but he played on UT's team, but he went to Pellissippi. I can't figure that out. But I remember it was in speech class, and there's one time where he got either punched or kicked in the throat, and he couldn't talk.
Yeah.
So he was like, he talked like this. He was like, so can I go like later or some other time? And the teacher was like, that's fine. He was a big dude. He was just like, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to. I gave a speech. We had to give one that was a demonstration. I can't remember what his was on, but mine was on weightlifting.
Okay.
And I got him and a guy that looked like he would have been like a high school baseball player to be my guys to demonstrate. And one of them grabbed the dumbbell and went over his head and fell into the blackboard. The tiny guy. The big dude was just like, yeah, whatever. Like,
oh my
nothing.
gosh.
I was like, and I improvised.
That's awesome.
It was like, and that's why you should test your weights before you start using it. Like, I was just bullshitting. Like, okay.
Yes, that is important.
That, and one of my friends who's a French chef, female French chef, she was like, I would like to find a female rugby team here in town. I was like, there is a female rugby team in town.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard back from her on like, all right, here it is.
Was this recently or?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they're the Knoxville Minks.
Yeah.
The ladies team. They're right now they're #1 seed in their region, and we're going to host the tournament this weekend. So.
Not to date it, but my friends at Refill Coffee Cart are raising money this week for them.
Yeah.
For the Minks. So I've been seeing a lot of that in the feed.
Yeah.
I was like, before that, I was like, I knew there was a team. I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did it in Little Rock.
Yeah.
Kind of kept with it. Did you slack off towards the end?
Bit.
Or?
So I was trying to play at Little Rock, and then I got my diagnosis of diabetes. My doctor's like, don't play any contact sports for a while. Let's get your blood sugars normalized.
Yeah.
Then I ended up moving back to the Tri-Cities, and I was like, well, that door closed. That military is not an option. I need something else to do. So back to school I went. I tried to come back to UT. And the reason I wanted to come to UT was because they have one of the best sports management programs.
Okay.
And my passion for rugby kind of led me here. UT, Marty Bradley, those guys, UT has had a consistently good team.
Okay.
And I was like, if I'm going to learn how to promote the sport and get in this market, I might as well go where, there's already a good team. And, and by that time I was over the hating Knoxville thing.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And then,
because you'd spent 4 years in Little Rock.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, well, this is
no
kind of
offense,
like,
Little Rock.
No. Yeah. Yeah. It was, so I moved back. I started going to school here and, tried that whole thing again.
Yeah.
And had a fun time. I was living in a little apartment in a house off of Clinch Avenue. So really close to campus. But I was like, I was like mid-20s. I was a non-traditional student, but I didn't look like an old man or something, right now. So, but I was, so I met with the rugby team. I told them I wanted to play, and come to find out I didn't have any eligibility, but I was like, I don't care. I will learn as much as I can. And I got the nickname Grandpa because I was the oldest guy by like 4 years on the team. I mean,
God.
it was...
You're Chris Winkie.
Oh, yeah.
There's a reference not many people will get, but you're Chris Winkie. So by the time you went to UT, you had already kind of fell into line and were managing your diabetes well.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Ish.
pretty good.
Pretty good.
I was still kind of in that honeymoon phase at this time.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I could, as long as I was active, and not just eating total crap, or drinking total crap, which has an effect. I was doing okay. Well, then I met a lady named Samantha, and
you gotta say the full name.
Samantha,
Remember, you got to.
Oh, it was Samantha Nicole DeMange then, but now it's Samantha Lane.
I think when I first met her, she still had is it DeMange?
DeMange.
I think I call her Domain.
Yeah, a lot of people. So she dropped that, and I think that's why she was like willing to get married and just drop the.
One of my friends, her name before she got married was Shara Sonsasi.
Oh my gosh!
And she went to Shara White, and she was like, I kind of married him for the name.
Something plain, yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Samantha and I had been dating for a while.
So you met her at UT?
I met her at UT. I mean, we joke. We actually just told the story the other day that we met at a bar. I'll just go ahead and say we met at a bar. And most people were like,
the only thing I'm going to judge is which bar.
Yeah, Preservation Pub.
Okay, no, that's.
I was working the door there, and
nice.
I was working there and a couple other jobs at the time. I don't know why I thought I needed to work a couple jobs because I had VA benefits. Like I could have just been a good student, but that wasn't fun enough,
Yeah.
So my schoolwork kind of slacked and stuff, and it was just the whole fiasco all over again. So Samantha and I were dating for a while, and then she kind of was like, I remember distinctly there was a time where she was like, "You're diabetic?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah," and her mom's a nurse, and she's like, "My mom said that you should be like checking your blood, and I've never seen you check your blood."
Oh my God.
And so I was like, "Yeah, I don't really. I was just kind of like going with it, like maybe my blood sugar will be fine, normalized."
Maybe.
Well, yeah.
Oh my God.
So it was that, and so meeting her, I was kind of telling her like I was struggling through school.
Yeah.
Telling her that I always wanted to be a firefighter, but I got diabetes and I really couldn't do that because the way the rules were written, like you couldn't be a new firefighter. You couldn't get hired on as a new firefighter if you're diabetic.
Yeah.
And then come to find out, they rewrote the rules like in 2004, I believe. The NFPA regulation on it. You can be a diabetic as long as you're in control. Well, I wasn't in control. I was like non-compliant. And this is a whole. I'm sorry, I'm just like rambling on.
It's called rambling, man.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. The only thing I'm gonna ask is, how many years were you at UT? Did you finish it out, or did you? Okay.
I didn't finish it out. That is like a life regret that I just haven't finished. I mean, I've probably got like 2.5 semesters to go, or something like that. But listening to Assistant Chief Faddis, like, he's a great guy, and he said, I just don't know if I'll finish it. I mean, something that I probably will. She's encouraged me to go back and pursue something, maybe communications or something to help me because I'm not the best communicator. And that might just...
He's the guy who's been talking for 56 minutes.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, and like when you asked me to do this, I was like, oh my gosh, I've like never done anything like this. So...
Trust me, you're nowhere near... I've had a couple to where it's like... I'm like talking to them, trying to pull stuff out of them. I'm like, good Lord, how much longer is it going to go? And I looked down, I was like, you've been recording for 3 minutes. I was
my gosh.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, no.
God. Oh, God.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No. You're... So you went to UT, you met her at Pres Pub.
Yeah.
Did you, like, let her in for free, like, no covering, like...
She hated me because I always tried to charge her. I was like... And my thing was, like, I wasn't trying to be, like, a stickler, but I was like... I wasn't older... I wasn't like a 21-year-old working the door. I was a little bit older, and I was like, I need to see an ID, and you need to pay the cover.
Yeah.
Like, that's the rules for this bar.
Yeah.
Unless you're like another door guy, another bartender, we would let some, regulars that worked at Tomato Head or whatever at the time. There wasn't much else. So every time she'd come up, she's like, "Where's my other door guy? Where's my favorite door guy?" And I was like, "I don't care. Let me see your ID. And your $5 or whatever." So it was kind of this. I always joke that I was like hollering at her long before, and we kind of bonded over. We each had a dog at the time, and they got along fine, and we just saw each other randomly in random places, like for like 2 weeks straight. Every day it would be like she'd just pass by me in the car, or I walked into Walgreens and she's like at the counter, and we have a 10-minute conversation or something. So I remember I was at another bar on Lake Avenue. I won't say the name.
I think I can discern because there's not that many.
We just happened to be there at the same time. It was a Thursday night after rugby practice, and then hearing her friends walk in, and I'm talking to her other friend. I'm like, I really like your friend Samantha. Like, she's awesome. And she's like, well, why don't you ask her for her number? And I was like, okay, sure. And I just walk over and I'm like, hey, if we keep running into each other, I should just get your number so we can go hang out and go to the dog park or something. She's like, well, if we keep running into each other, you don't leave my phone number. And I was like, all right, fair enough. And I just walk away.
Oh my God.
And I came back to the table with some of the rugby guys, and they were like, how'd that go? And I was like, she just said if we keep running each other, I don't need her number. And they were like, oh my God, you just got shot down. And I was like, did I? I don't even know. I was like so naive.
I don't know.
Yeah, but
in romantic comedies, that's called a meet cute.
Meet cute?
Yeah. Have you never heard that
No,
phrase?
I never.
Yeah.
That's
meet
fun.
cute is like how you meet. Well, actually, technically, the Pres Pub thing would be the meet cute. Like how you meet is it's the cute way you all met, and you didn't like one
That's
another,
funny.
and yada yada yada.
Well, she didn't like me. I liked her.
Okay, so you got in the Lake Avenue, Lake Street, Lake Avenue, Lake Avenue.
I think it's Lake Avenue. Yeah.
Yeah, in the Lake Avenue bar.
It's Cool Beans. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, there's only one.
Yeah.
Funny, I don't think I've ever been in Cool Beans.
Really?
There's a few places. Never Cool Beans, never Sassy Ann's.
Oh my goodness.
Never Toots Honky Tonk. I think that's about it.
Dang, you're talking about a couple that are gone.
I know.
Forever. You better hit up Cool Beans.
I was like, no, that's fine. Cool Beans, I've got friends who go there all the time.
Yeah.
That they're beer reps, and I'm like, it just doesn't look like my scene.
Yeah.
I remember another bar on closer to 17th that was huge.
Yeah.
And I want to say it started with an M or something, but I can't remember what it was.
Was it Moose's?
No, it wasn't Moose's.
Okay.
Although, funny story.
I love Moose's.
There's
I only
a
went
guy
there twice. But.
Who owns a tattoo parlor and coffee shop in Clinton. Clinch River Tattoo and Parlor Shop. He was the head of security at Moose's.
Really?
So I started chatting with him, and I was like, oh, so you've checked my ID before. He's like, I didn't check any IDs. I was like, oh, so you've almost thrown me out a few times. He's like, I probably did do that. And then I told him a story about one. I was like, oh, yeah, there's this little guy. And he's like, oh, that was Chris. I was like, oh, shit. I was like,
gosh.
That guy, there's a longer story about there was a fight happening, and he couldn't get through. Because if you remember, Moose is up on the bar on the front. He was standing up on a stool or something so he could watch what was happening.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And a fight broke out, and you just saw this hole with everyone turned and looking, and he couldn't get through the crowd. So I literally grabbed everybody and took a step back and cleared a path, and he ran past me and patted me on the chest, said, thanks, big guy.
Yeah.
Took off.
That's awesome.
And it turns out the person he pulled up that was in the middle of the fight was one of the gals we came with.
Oh, my gosh.
Who had been dancing with, loving up on some other woman's guy.
Some other
and so we got,
beau.
so to complete that story, as we're leaving, my friend Greg White, Shara's husband, and this girl named Feather, don't remember her last name, but Feather is enough. They're walking in front and not getting anywhere. So I literally grabbed them, put them behind me, and yelled, move! Like that. And it just like the Red Sea parted. And we walked out.
That's awesome.
And I just turned around and winked at Greg. I was like, that's how you do that, son.
That's great.
And we went out the other door where the girl we were with was sitting. And they'd taken the other girl out by the patio on the right next to Taco Bell. So they sent them in separate directions.
Yeah.
So we're walking around, and we get out, and I look at Greg. It's like, we're crossing the street right here because we're not going to walk past that girl.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to break up this fight.
Oh, no.
Also, the two girls we were with were under 21, over 18, but under 21, and Greg had given them a couple beers when they were at the house. I was like, but it is a beer. It's like a Bud Light. I was like, come on, man.
Yeah, you can't
I was like,
be.
this is 5 hours later. They're not drunk. They're not.
No.
So
unless they were getting someone somewhere else.
So or the one who was up on the dude, maybe. So we're walking on the opposite side of Cumberland, and I'm standing towards the street because I'm like, she's going to run across this damn street and get hit because Feather was a fighter. Big shocker.
Feather.
And all of a sudden, she starts screaming at the girl and going, bitch, run. And I just grabbed her and just picked her up and started walking with her.
Oh, my gosh.
And then we got in the car and we had to drive back by.
Yeah.
And I tried to lock my windows and couldn't lock. Actually, that was my Camry. I couldn't lock windows. So
oh, my gosh.
She rolled down that window. You fucking bitch.
Hanging out the window.
And I'm just laughing at this point. It's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I'm driving. We're not
like,
stopping, so you can get out and beat the shit out of this girl. Find her later. I don't care.
That's like classic strip, 90s strip, not nowadays
still
strip. I remember,
I'll tell this story again. Their first night, oh, God, I'm curious now if you know this guy since you worked doors. When O'Charlie's was still on the strip. You remember had that patio outside that had the metal fence around it?
Yeah.
So Greg and I are sitting out there. It's the first time we're hanging out outside of school. We went to Pellissippi together. We're sitting out there on the patio. It's the night before the first home game. It was chilly. I remember that.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was like before global warming, apparently. But it was like a September night, and it was actually kind of cool outside. Because I remember him wearing like a hoodie, zip up or something. Now, of course, I was dressed like this in shorts and a damn T-shirt. And we're sitting out there. And all of a sudden, this Toyota old school pickup truck comes woof, in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And it is a tiny little parking lot.
It is, yeah.
And I can see the guy in the passenger seat. He's on my side, and the girl's on the. And I can't see her. She's tiny. He's a big dude, and he's screaming at her, and you can hear her yelling at her. I'm sitting there with my hands in the pocket, kind of facing their way unintentionally. And Greg's sitting over here, and I go, all right, ma'am, I never break eye contact with the dude. I was like, here's what's going to happen. If he hits her, I'm going to jump over that fence. I'm going to pull him out of that truck, and I'm going to beat him within an inch of his life. Now, so I didn't play rugby. I boxed when I was in college.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of anger and a lot of rage. And
That's
I said,
awesome.
I'm going to pull him out of the truck and beat him within an inch of his life. What you do with that is your call. And I just saw him out of the side of his eye and go,
Yeah.
like look around like, oh, shit.
I'm going to look the other way.
What did I get myself into? And then the guy got out, slammed the door. I could see the girl was crying.
Oh my
He
gosh.
walked up. He was wearing a black T-shirt. He was the bouncer. There were 4 other guys up there that kind of
Are you
high-fived him.
serious? What?
And I was like, motherfucker. Like
What
that.
the-
And then the girl spun around, peeled out. And I'm not kidding. 5 to 10 minutes later, she pulled back in there. He got in the truck. And I looked at Greg and I was like, fuck her. She's on her own.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm
Yeah,
out
that's-
at that point.
Oh, my gosh.
He and I, we need to sit down and tell Moose's stories because he and I
Yeah.
got into a lot of. I ended up putting guys into walls for inappropriately touching
Oh
their
my
girlfriends.
gosh.
Like there was one time I just looked at him, and I was like, "We're going to go over here now."
Yeah.
And we walked up, and I stood in between a guy and a girl, and they were really short. And there's a point where the guy was yelling at the girl, and he put his finger up, and I said, "You touch her, I will fucking end you." And he huffed and walked off.
Yeah.
And Greg, same thing. Greg just turned around. His eyes were a little big. He's like, whoa, whew. I was
That's
like,
awesome.
dude, I don't know.
You got the you got the size. You can do that. It's awesome.
I had that happen.
That's-
Hell, I'm fucking 40. I had that happen at Bill and mine last fall
Are
where
you serious?
I was luckily, I know the head of security, the flat top guy.
Yeah.
Super nice guy.
Yeah.
But I was walking out and I watched a drunk guy and girl and he like pushed her. And then
my
he
gosh.
walked away, and I just literally turned in the sea of people and turned and went like this.
Yeah.
And saw him walk away. And my friend Kat, not Kat Torbett, Kat Rapp, she walked by and she was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I think the
Watch it
guy
again.
didn't walk away. I think he just turned around." I was like, "He pushed her, and if he touches her again, we're going to have a problem." And she went, hold on a second, and like patted me on the back and walked over and got the security guy. And I watched them surround them.
That's
Because
awesome.
at that point, the guy had turned around and he was walking back to the girl.
Really?
And you just saw like 3 security guys. And the main guy came over to me. He's like, we got it now. It's like, cool,
man.
thanks. And I walked out the door.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, cool, because I will go to jail.
Yeah.
And these guys won't go to jail. I was like, yeah, I'm out. But
That's
yeah.
good. There needs to be more people like you. I mean, hold accountability for these jerks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Just don't lay hands on women in public.
The one I've told a few times is it was during Mardi Gras, because I know I saw Willie Watson at Barley's.
Gosh.
We were walking out. I've also done this to dudes too. It's not just women. There was an incident at a UT game like 2 years ago where we sit, you can see where we sit, and I literally did hold my Coke to my dad and went over and grabbed the guy, and he was not a small guy, and pulled him off of another dude. It's like, we're not going to, and that was like 2 years ago.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, but the one
Just
at
the
Mardi Gras,
peacekeeper.
we walked
That's
out
a-
of Barley's. We saw Willie Watson, and I was with a gal, and we're walking back to our cars, and I can see 2 people yelling at one another. So we just start veering over their way, and we start walking, and then all of a sudden he pushes her in the chest,
Oh my
or he
gosh.
pushes her like in the shoulders.
Yeah.
She starts punching him in the face. At that point, I just break off and
Yeah.
run. And as I'm running, I'm going, nope, 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 yelling at them. And I reach out, another one, not a small dude. I reached around him. I picked him up and turned him completely around. I turned completely around, and he literally, the minute I picked him up, he went from like, fuck you, fuck you. He's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. He went completely limp. He was scared shitless because he was probably 6'2", probably 230, 240. Like, he was a big dude.
Yeah. Oh
he was
my
not
gosh.
a small dude. And
That's
I just
awesome.
picked him up and turned him around. And he's like, I'm sorry, man. You can let go, man. I swear I won't do it.
Yeah.
I swear I'm sorry.
I mean,
sorry.
sometimes
I'm
that's
sorry.
what people need. They just
And-
need, like,
Well, the worst part is the woman started walking back up, and she
Oh my
was
gosh.
screaming at me, like, let him go, motherfucker.
Then it turns on you.
Like all that. And I no, the funnier part was I just turned back around, still holding on to him, and set him down. I was like, are you all done? Are you done? Because if you're done, I'll let him go. If you're not done, I'm going to hold on to him.
oh my gosh.
And she was like, you better let go of him. It's like, how about I walk over to Barley's and get the cop that's in there, come out here and deal with y'all. I can
Yeah.
walk with him. Like, I was like, I can do this.
yeah.
It's like, I can be here all day. Like, I was so pissed. I was like, I don't want to be involved.
Yeah.
And then I separated them. She went off one direction. He went off the other direction. I saw them coming back to one another. I said, the funnier part was there was another dude who came up and started barking at the dude.
Oh my
A
gosh.
smaller guy.
Yeah.
And I turned around. It's like, you need to shut the fuck up. Like, I got this. And he was like, but he's touching. I was like, I swear to God, I will let go of him and lay into you next.
Oh my
Like, I was
gosh.
like, don't.
You'll be next.
Because
Yeah.
I've got a hold of him, I was like, hell, I'll just let him go. He'll beat shit out of you. Like,
Yeah.
he's much bigger than you, dude.
Oh
You
my
dumb it.
gosh.
So at that point, that guy and his girlfriend were standing there, and they were yelling at him. When they started walking to one another, I looked at them, and I was like, it's all yours now. I took off and got in my car. I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I ain't dealing with this shit.
Yeah.
Y'all are grown ass.
That's-
They were like in their late 30s, early 40s. I was like,
Yeah.
y'all are idiots.
That's crazy. I made the mistake of which I love St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
But the whole like party stuff that comes and the crowds that come
Call
with
it
it.
amateur night.
Yeah, it's amateur night.
New Year's Eve, Valentine's Day for dating,
Oh my
and
gosh.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah,
White people
Cinco de
amateur
Mayo.
night.
Yes. I made the mistake of being downtown in the old city for St. Patrick's Day, but I wasn't. I'd had a couple drinks, but I wasn't like intoxicated.
Right.
And I was trying to be a responsible adult, and here comes the paddy wagon, and I swear they loaded it up with like 8 guys, and I'm
Oh, yeah.
just like, and there's always something going on in those kind of crowds and
Oh,
those
yeah.
kinds of holidays, especially. But like even now in some, I don't know, just like big football game atmospheres and stuff
Yeah.
like that, I'm just like, I've worked Sundown in the City when it was on the square,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and seeing like that, like it, you know, getting in between people fighting just to break them up and just to kind of separate, not really to get people in trouble, but
No.
just to maintain the peace. And
Yeah.
and even that is just, I was just like, it's not worth it, especially being a participant in the
Yeah.
activities, and then you're alongside somebody fighting.
I think the biggest thing is growing up bigger and having to deal with a lot of those
Yeah.
situations and putting myself in them,
Unfolding
even
them.
though I'm not security or anything. There was one incident in the cigar bar in Merchants of Beer
Yeah.
where it was like noon after the Pride Parade. I'd marched in the Pride Parade. I was
man.
with my friend who she is a gay woman, and she has the shaved head and the hair, and her
Yeah.
and her brother are sitting there, and this old drunk dude who looked homeless, big beard,
Oh, my
cut off
gosh.
sleeves, came in there, bought a cigar, and sat down, was drinking beer. It was noon. He was shit-faced.
Oh gosh.
And he just kept staring, and then he started talking shit.
Yeah.
And I had my back to him, and I was just like, fuck. Like, I don't want to deal with this. Like, I was so, like, dehydrated because it's
Yeah.
boiling hot.
Yeah.
Like, I was just trying to chug water. And my friend and her brother were, like trying to be polite, but also being a little forceful. And then he started dropping F-bombs. And at that point, John walked back in.
Yeah.
And he looked at him. He's like, do we have a problem? He's like, well, they won't shut the fuck up.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, you can go outside.
Yeah.
And he stood up and he said, and then John was like, at one point, John was like, I think it's time for you to leave. And before the dude left, he turned around, looked at my friend, and said, fuck pride.
Oh my
Fuck you.
gosh.
Like, and John was like, all right, you need to go. And my friends didn't give me too much shit, but they were like, you didn't get up. I was like, if I got up, it would have been a different situation.
Yeah.
I would have put him through that door.
Mhm.
I was like, John was handling it. And if he had tried to touch John,
Yeah.
no, it would have been over really quick. It would have. Oh shit! There's a big giant ass spider.
Oh man.
Uh,
Thing's just floating there.
well, I had seen the web
Yeah.
floating between us, but I didn't know where it was.
That's all right.
But yeah, it's a weird thing not being official, but I can't imagine being official and having to be
Yeah.
in those situations.
Well, official
Well,
pres
security.
pub security
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah, and
we got some T-shirts at one time. That was pretty official.
Press pub,
Yeah.
getting paid
Yeah.
in cash that
Pre-
still had a little bit of weed on it.
Yeah. That was pre.
Pre-arrest.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so you met
But-
Samantha.
Yeah.
You got shot down in Cool Beans,
Yeah,
which
got
I'm
shot down,
laughing
yeah.
about.
Yeah.
And then
And many other times probably.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think in the getting to know you phase of our relationship, I'd kind of like voice how I'd been in the military. Her dad was in the Army.
okay,
And
you want to
so-
be a firefighter. You
yeah, I
had
wanted to be a firefighter. I had this thing going on, but then I found out that she's like, well, why don't you explore that more? Like if these are your things you want to do. So I applied for a paid on-call position at a local, like a neighboring city.
Okay.
And went through the process and everything. And their hiring process was, you fill out the application, you come and you do a physical, basically like an obstacle course kind of
Okay.
thing, climb a ladder, and then you take a written test or whatever, and then you go see the doctor for your physical. That was like the last step before you're hired.
Yeah.
And I was meeting every step. Comes down to the physical, and he takes my, I had some blood work done, and he looks at my blood work, and he's like, I cannot sign off on you being a firefighter.
Oh man.
Like, your blood work is so out of whack. You're type 1 diabetic, and your A1C is like 12. And A1C is an average, a 3-month average of your blood sugars.
Okay.
And a good one is like 6.
Yeah.
And I think that's, somewhere around like 100 points. Your blood sugar average is 100 or whatever.
Yeah.
So mine was like double the normal.
Oh my God.
And the NFPA regulations even state it has to be at 8 or below, and maintained for a while. So that was like the eye opener. I was like, if this is what I want to do, I'm gonna have to get serious about this.
Yeah.
And I think it was coupled with I blew my knee out, my ACL.
Yeah.
In a rugby game in Chattanooga in a sevens tournament, and that kind of like threw me into this. I don't want to say like a dark time, but I was just like, I wasn't very active. Couldn't play rugby anymore. I didn't play at UT anymore, and got out of school. And then I was kind of thinking I wanted to do this firefighter thing, and it wasn't really. I don't know if it was going to work out,
Yeah.
But then that happened, and Samantha said something, and it stuck with me. I still think about it. She said, "No one likes a firefighter that is missing a foot."
Oh
So,
my God.
like diabetes, if you don't
Yeah.
take care of yourself,
Yeah.
you can have your limbs amputated because of neuropathy and other things. So, I was like, "You're right. I need to get on this and treat it, and know that it's something that I have to live with. It's not something that I always like to think like diabetes isn't something that defines me and people with diabetes. It's just something that we deal with. And So about that time, I was trying to get back into shape to get back into playing rugby
Right.
and to get ready to play to become a firefighter also.
Yeah.
And I volunteered a little bit at the rescue squad, tried to get to know some people, within the department or within the emergency services
And
around
how
the
old
county.
are you at this point?
I was probably 26, 28 or something like that. So I was kind of looking at getting personal training at D1 to try to get back into rugby shape.
Okay.
And at the time, Samantha and I were living on Paper Mill Drive, and just down the road off Paper Mill, just down the road was a CrossFit gym. A new
Okay.
CrossFit had opened up, and so we tried it out a couple weekends, and I was like hooked after a couple weeks. And that's how we know Aaron the Slocums.
This is
We
not
met
the
them
one
through
that's
them.
on Middlebrook.
It is now, yeah.
Okay,
CrossFit K-Town.
so it was not on Middlebrook.
It wasn't. No,
Okay.
that one, the current location of CrossFit K-Town is their third installment, the
Okay.
3.0 version.
Where are they at now?
It's on Middlebrook, kind of across from the KUB terminal and Ed Schaus, like we're about half a mile from Ed Schaus, and it's like way up a hill. You
No,
can't see
that's
it
the
from-
one. I've been to
Yeah.
that one.
Okay, yeah.
I went up there and shot film of Ben
Oh, yeah.
years ago.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
the third
Okay.
location now. I mean,
Okay.
most recent location, but they Samantha and I kind of became members there and started training, and I was like, you hear all these things about CrossFit, like it's a cult, you get hooked and all that stuff, and I was kind of like bit by the bug.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the feeling of having these workouts that would just kick my butt, and then I would be like, I think I can do better next time,
Yeah.
and the continual like improving of self, and I found out that it wasn't just about working out; it was about eating healthy and longevity and
Right.
whole wellness, and it was having it had a great impact on my blood sugar regulation, and it was getting me in shape, and I ended up getting a job with the city fire department, and I think it helped me prepare for the academy and be in a little bit better shape. And somebody asked me if I was gonna like stop doing CrossFit or whatever, and I was like, no, it's not necessarily. I don't think CrossFit is the answer. It's just my go-to,
Right.
my go-to kind of style of working out.
Right.
But I work there part time on my days off from the fire department, and I love that challenge and what it does for me, for my body, for
Yeah.
keeping my blood sugars and my diabetes kind of in check. So
Trying to figure out what this guy's doing.
he just made like a T-turn. There's a dead end sign right there.
I know,
T-turn.
dude. It happens all the time. It's
Yeah.
yeah. It's always interesting.
You gotta love the people turn around. I worked at Station 18 over off Paper Mill and Weisgarber, and we'd have people just turn and make a weird like U-turn in the driveway or go cut back in the parking lot, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm in a parking lot." It's like,
Yeah.
I don't usually just go turn around at fire stations or
Yeah.
like make wrong turns, and I don't know, maybe.
Oh, this
There's a lot
one's
of distracted
The best
drivers,
is
so-
when we'll be sitting out here and somebody will be flying, and we're like, "Well, we're finally
Oh my
going to get to see
gosh.
somebody go off the edge." It's like, nope. Everybody always. I've seen people fishtail down there so bad. I was like, "You're idiots." There's signs everywhere. It's
That's
a dead
great.
end.
That's awesome.
And also sometimes it's us up here yelling, "No, no, 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 no!"
Oh
no."
my gosh.
Yeah.
We lived on Scott Avenue for a while at the corner of Cornelia.
Yeah.
And there's a roundabout there.
Yeah.
Man, we used to play games like drinking games on the weekends. Who's going to hit the roundabout?
Oh yeah.
And it can get interesting.
We used to do that at. We would sit at because we're classy. We'd sit at Sapphire
Oh, nice.
or downtown Growing Brewery.
Yeah.
Out front and watch the people try to parallel park and
Oh
how many
my
times they would
gosh.
hit other cars.
Yes.
And it happened a lot. Now, I can't parallel park for shit. Even though I got that tiny little car, I can't parallel park.
yeah.
But it's funny watching them
That's great.
because it's like there was one time I parallel parked. This wasn't even that long ago where I swear to God, I think I attempted it like 20 times.
Oh my gosh.
It's because even though my car is small, I try to go into some spots that are too small.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know people are watching this, and I looked over and people were staring at me. It's like, damn it. I was like, I know this must look hilarious. And I finally just gave up. I was like, I'm a little bit in the road, but it's Gay Street. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
as long as you're kind of straight and
ish.
I like parallel parking though. Sometimes you just, if you hit it just right, especially on the first time, it's like, oh my God, it's such a great feeling.
I think it's a lot of times I'm trying not to hit the curb.
Yeah.
But also trying not to be out in the street. And that's a twofer. Okay, so when you start taking it a little bit more seriously, did they give you, when you went back for the physical, did they give you any hell about being diabetic? Or are there other firefighters that are diabetic?
There are some.
Are they?
I don't know. I think we've got one guy.
One or two?
Yeah, I think we got one guy that's a type 1 and a few type 2 guys. Yeah. Now I will say, so I've been on the department for, almost 9 years now. Yeah. And there was a time where getting in the swing of the shifts and eating with the guys and trying to be active on shift too and off shift, not just, doing the right kind of workout on shift, because I don't want to do something that's just going to completely kill me if we get a fire or something. But I don't want to just sit as much as I can. I got to be active. Yeah. That was kind of a challenge, and I think I let my blood sugar kind of get out of hand early on. So there was a time where, I got above that 8, that at or below 8 for your A1C, and I kind of had to be reined back in. Like, you need to get your stuff together. You need to get your blood sugars back in line. And it's kind of a good, I don't know. I try to see it not as a curse, but like, it's just something that keeps me in check. Right. And I tell people this too that ask me about diet and exercise stuff. I feel like I'm kind of lucky that I'm kind of at a advantage where I can see. A lot of people will ask me about paleo because that's the CrossFit kind of thing, the diet or something like that. And my wife and I just try to eat natural and healthy. And I'm kind of in a position where I can see what a certain food does to my blood sugar immediately. Right. I can check it pretty soon afterwards. And, pizza, I love pizza, but it's horrible for my blood. Does that mean I never eat it? No, I eat it all the time. Yeah. But I just got to know how to balance that out and stuff. Like
starches and stuff are really bad. Sweets, I assume, are really bad.
Any like refined sugars. Yeah.
Is like dark
grains.
Chocolate better than regular chocolate? Not really. If it's real dark chocolate,
real
not
dark
just
chocolate,
marketed as dark chocolate.
It's good in it's like high in antioxidants. Yeah. And it's everything in moderation too. If I got a big dark chocolate candy bar, and ate it all in one sitting, it'd probably be like the same thing as me eating a regular size Snicker bar or something like that. It's a trade off. You got to look at it in moderation. And
so no milkshakes at Inskip Grill.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But that's the thing. Like, I have a sweet tooth. Yeah. I like candy. I like gummy candies. I like chocolates. Yeah. I love almost anything breaded and deep fried.
Oh my God.
But it's just you've got to know. I don't know. I try to.
It's the balance. Like one of my friends, Curvy Mata. I'll say the full name. Yes. I think he is type 1. He has the thing. And we went and had like burger and fries somewhere, and he was like, I have to balance on this. I have to take a shot or do something. There was a guy we worked with at Sentinel that he was an older guy, the same thing. He was like, he would eat like shit. Yeah. I was like, well, I'll just take a shot when I get back. It's like, oh my gosh, dude. Yeah. You're like 60-something. You shouldn't be, late 60s. You shouldn't be doing that shit. It's like, but it tastes so good. I was like, all right, man.
Yeah, and you can't always, I don't know, I'm one that's like, internal medicine, if the less medical medicines you have to take, the better. And I feel that way about insulin. Like, I don't want to take so much insulin that I have to feed myself to keep my blood sugars up. And I don't want to have to take a ton of medicine because I just indulged myself.
Right.
So there's a happy balance there.
Yeah. Oh, man. So before you went back, well, you were always kind of active. I was going to say, before you started doing CrossFit, did you go and get checked to be like, is this going to be okay for me? Because it's so intense.
Yeah.
And your diet's such a big part of it.
Yeah. And that's one thing about the VA again. My primary care for my diabetes is through the VA. And I have had some outside endocrinologists, that have given me some guidance on my diabetic care. But at the time they were like, well, you've played contact sports, you know what is intense, you know how to feel the things out first, like
right.
Test the waters and don't just go into it full bore and ill prepared. In my turnout gear, the stuff I wear in the fire department, I usually have like a goo packet, something that's like a quick energy and carb. So if I feel like if we get something, and it's happened before, like I've been going on a call, we had an alarm, and I'm like, I just don't feel 100%. I don't have anything that's like a continuous glucose monitor right now that I can just look at real quick. I may have a chance to check my blood, but if there's any doubt in my mind, I'll just go ahead and squeeze a glucose or a little Gatorade packet real quick just to get a little bit of extra carbs. And that's the thing. I just try to, and early on, I think I was more comfortable with my blood sugars being high because I didn't want to have a low in an emergency situation. Okay. And I think that was just kind of the learning process of like, I don't have to live in fear of having a low. Like I just need to be normal. I just need to have a good baseline. Yeah. And that's kind of being a diabetic, especially type 1 diabetic firefighter. It's a balancing act. You just got to be prepared.
Does stress kind of exacerbate the situation?
It does sometimes, yeah. Yeah. And that could be physical stress, or I recently got promoted about 6 months ago. I got promoted to master firefighter, and thank you. Yeah. But so I'm like a driver's position now. I drive. Okay. Right now I'm driving Quint 7 in Lonsdale, and but I've been acting captain for a while, and just the stresses of being in a different role, a different position,
and being a manager. Because I think Faddis talked about that quite a bit, about like just the switch of just being a guy to all of a sudden being the guy.
Yeah, and he had a major switch going to assistant chief, and now he's got a lot of guys under him. And I went from being like one of the guys on the truck to being like, well, now I've got these 2 younger guys I need to take care of, and I need to. When I was listening to the podcast, I laughed because he said he was talking about his first fire and how he was, just kind of, it kind of hit him that he's in charge of getting those guys home, and then something goofy will happen getting out of the door, like you lock yourself in. Well, that happened to me on one of our first alarms. Luckily, it wasn't a fire; it was just an alarm, and I went to go get out, and he said one of the other captains, that happened to him, the air pack, the buckle just got caught in the seat, and here I am, like the other guy on the back is already out walking to the door. Here comes the chief, and I'm like hanging from the passenger door, and the driver is just laughing at me. And he's like, and I'm like, dang, dang nabbit, this stupid air pack. And it was I'm glad there wasn't a real true emergency going on then. But and then again, it's like little things, like, do I have to stress about this? Like, it's so there are the physical stressors of working out, or having a real emergency, a real fire, or even the mental stressors, or just daily. Like, we've been renovating our house for 3 years, I feel like, and
oh my God,
it's been right at 3 years.
Home ownership,
and that was that's we'll always be doing something, I'm sure, but it's been like we moved out, moved back in, dealing with contractors. Oh my gosh, just that stress, and just stuff like that. It does. And I just recently went to a follow-up appointment, just a routine appointment, and my A1C was a little high, and I told the doctor, she's like, you need to get on your blood sugars. And I was like, yes, but I'm stressed. Like, throw me a bone a little.
I'm a little freaking out a little bit. How do your other firefighters, like, I don't mean even giving you shit, but do they, Are they kind of tuned in to watch for stuff, like to kind of watch out for you?
Yeah, some of them give me shit. That's part of the. I think most do.
Yeah, that's. It would be weird if they didn't.
Yeah, yeah, and I think just like everybody else, it's if they're not giving you crap, they don't care about you. Like I've only had just a couple incidents where people have kind of said something, or like maybe to the fact of, or manner of, like, you shouldn't be a firefighter if you're diabetic or something like that. And then my rebuttal to them is like, I work my ass off. Every day I'm not on shift, you'll probably see me at the gym for about an hour at least, or doing something. Like I'm going to try to go to rugby practice tonight, and that's well over an hour of running, constant running and stuff like that. So
I realize I'm a stupid graphic designer who makes pictures on the computer, but there are times where I have been out in public. Now, this is a police versus firefighters things, where I've seen police officers been like, I don't trust you to protect my life. Like, there was a time I was in New York and I was walking through, and I walked past 4 police officers, and I went, nope, not a one of you.
Yeah.
There's not a damn one of you. Whether it was like they were so small, or they were just grossly, which I'm a schlubby dude, but like grossly overweight. So I think that's kind of hilarious to me, that because all I'm picturing is in my head is some dude that's 400 pounds. It's a firefighter and been one for 30 years, been like, damn it, you shouldn't be doing that.
Smoking a
Pulling from a cigarette, drinking a beer or something like.
This was,
I know.
was
I'm
it,
just
but but that issue is, I mean, so physical fitness, being healthy is something I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
Along with like rugby, firefighting.
Yeah.
And all this stuff. A lot of people come to me for like questions on CrossFit, but I'm like, don't ask me about CrossFit. Ask me about your health. Like, what are you doing? How much are you sleeping? How much are you, like, what are you eating at your meals? Let's get down to the brass tacks of it. You know, like what's the
be
basic?
Quiet. I don't want you fussing at me, because I will say I eat healthy 80% of the time.
Yeah.
That's why when I go to like Jackie's Dream or Inskip Grill, I don't feel too bad, because I know the rest of the time I'm eating baked chicken, peas, and corn.
That's awesome.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Like, it's, the only problem is, for me, it's trying to get it more regulated. The sleep thing is killing me.
Yeah. Because sleep is tough.
I did 96 hours with
gosh.
5 hours of sleep.
Oh, my gosh.
Because I had a job that had to get done, and I was getting chastised for not getting it done quick enough.
Yeah.
And it hit a point to where I was like, I can't see straight. And then the guy at the end was like, so what's your bandwidth look like for the rest of the week? I went, no, you get next week. And this was on like a Tuesday, and I was like, I'm not doing any more work. I have other jobs I need. Like, but that's the problem with freelance. Like, you don't know. But I can't like, there were points where I couldn't see straight.
Yeah.
And it was ineffective. I was like, I can't imagine being like this tired and then having to go save someone.
Yeah.
Like,
I think just in the last couple of years for me, it's become evident how important sleep is. And I still work on it. I still need improvement there. First responder or not. I mean, freelance, self-employed.
Self-employed is scary.
Yeah,
like I've had a hard time sleeping lately, because like I've got one client that is so far behind. I was like, I just need to get paid. Like, I need to pay bills.
Yeah.
And I've got one bill person yelling at me. I was like, I can't do it. Like, it's like 4 weeks behind. And I keep chastising them. I was like, pay me. Like, I need you to pay me.
Exactly. And Samantha has told me before, she just wakes up in the middle of the night sometimes here recently because she'll have an idea. She'll have a dream about her job and her business that she's creating. And it's like, I've got to do this in the morning. And it's like, it's like 2 in the morning. I can't like wake up and do this right now.
But you also worry about it flittering away if you don't.
Exactly. So I don't know. I think you bring up a good topic of the policeman, and I think that the out of shape or the ill suited, I guess you'd say. I had this theory, and it's not unique to me, or it's not my unique theory either now. But I think that like emergency responders, first responders, cops, police, whatever, firefighters, and military, we're basically, I feel, and now there's this whole term of tactical athlete.
Yeah.
Like we're these tactical athletes. We're professional athletes. We're paid to perform a physical task. And I think for a long time, it's been like, well, if you're a big old boy, you could probably do the job. You can do the job more weight, can move more weight.
Nope.
And now it's kind of become prevalent. Like we've neglected a lot of our baseline health issues.
Yeah.
And some things have gotten away. And it's not just police.
Yeah.
And I saw this when I was in the Air Force. Like I said, that was the most unhealthy time I'd been in my life, was when I was in the Air Force, and that's just because of the nature of the job I had.
Yeah.
I know there's guys in the military that are
because you weren't
animals.
required to do PT and all that.
Yeah.
There was a guy who came and talked to the print shop class that was in the Air Force, that he was a designer for the Air Force, and shit, like he was so schlubby, and like I was like, how are you in the Air Force?
Yeah.
Like, it made no sense. But he's like, no, I'm working on a computer. I have this skill, and that's what I'm hired for.
And now I think the Army has implemented a new PT test, or a new continuing physical test, and I think they're seeing that, like, even a desk clerk, some non-combat position may be in a position where they need that tactical strength and that aptitude.
Well, from a marketing and PR standpoint, I also look at it as, if you're putting on a uniform, you're representing that.
Exactly, yeah.
So if you're going out there and you are 400 pounds and eating donuts, and you're wearing a uniform, you're not a good representation.
Yeah.
I hate to say it here in town, and God, I am not a Billy Badass. I do nothing, but it's... I see a lot of the people in the ambulances that are just grossly overweight. And I'm not a skinny dude, but I just look at them and I'm like, you can barely get out of your damn...
Yeah.
And I was like, I know it's got to be tough. It's got to be a sedentary job to where you're just sitting there waiting. But holy shit.
And like, those guys and gals, they'll do like 12-hour shifts or longer, 18-hour shifts.
Yeah.
And they're in most of those things are like a old E350 cab of a van.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting upright, and that's how you sleep. That's how you eat.
Yeah.
You eat where you can, fast food, gas station. And I have seen, there's a movement now, I think I've seen it more often, of some of those folks that are like, I've got to get out and I've got to run around the truck and do some push-ups and eat my lunch that I brought in, that I've meal prepped before I came in. And that's awesome. I commend them. That's hard to do.
There's got to be an empty chest somewhere to put a cooler.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's like, Dad, this is not... No, you know what? I'm not going to tell that story. I'll tell that story. I don't know if I mentioned on any of those, like when he was at his biggest, he was 6'4", 437.
Yeah.
And now he got down to 220, somewhere around there. And right now he's up to like 240 or so, 245, 250, to where it's more of a healthy, sustainable level.
But a lot of that was truck driving, I'm sure.
Truck driving,
behind
and just he saw a picture of himself and wasn't happy.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's what changed it.
Yeah.
But he gets up every day at, good Lord, like 4:30 in the morning and walks like an insane amount of miles.
Yeah.
But like a lot of that was just, being in a pickup, being in a tractor trailer for 8-10 hours a day, and just sitting there and it being sedentary and drinking Cokes or eating, whatever. And just,
Yeah. That's tough.
I used to watch him come home and eat an entire bag of pizza rolls at like 10:30 or 11 at night. And then Mom always fussed because he would go in, he would then have his big pilot cup full of peanuts and Coke or Dr. Pepper or something. He would drink that, finish that off, get up, go to bed, go in half asleep, grab a handful of cookies and shove them in his mouth before he went to bed.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then he would go to bed at like 12 or 12:30 and then get up at 5 or 6 to go to work. Like, so no sleep. Like,
oh my gosh, yeah.
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 But yeah, like now he's gotten into, knock on wood, more regulation on that.
Yeah,
and just,
that's good.
But the sedentary lifestyle, I assume, for the ambulance people, the first responders, has to be terrible. But it just look at them, because it goes back to like when there was the point where there were more women wanting to get into firefighting, And it was like, well, the regulations are this. And some of them kicked up a fuss, said, well, we shouldn't have to be able to lift as much or do as many. And I buckled at that and been like, I'm a big dude.
Yeah.
I was like, if you're saying you're going to get in because you have to do less push-ups, no.
Yeah.
I want somebody like Faddis in there that can pick my ass up. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
That can still be and is a hot topic, on some aspects of it. I think there's some different, regulations on men and women.
Yeah.
And that's been.
And it's not a less
fuss.
than or anything. It's just a physical, you're going to have to do these tasks. It's the same thing with being really big or something. It's like you're going to have to perform these physical tasks.
Yeah.
You need to be able to do that. Although that said, I will tell you a story off mic. One Kevin Faddis told me about a friend from high school.
Oh, yeah.
And he is dumber than a box of rocks. And he said something to Faddis.
Oh, my God.
I have. It's weird. I don't know. There's a ton of guys I went to school with that they're firefighters. Like Kevin Bost, Jason Suffridge. I don't know if he is anymore.
Yeah. I know there's a big Fulton.
Yeah. Pete Osborne, David Boss, which is Kevin's younger brother.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of them. It's weird that they all got into it to me.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's I don't know. But me, I sit on the damn computer. It's essentially like Facebook bitching. Like I have no room to talk. But
armchair quarterbacking. No.
Yeah.
No, and I mean.
Oh well, watched the national watching the national championship basketball game last night.
Oh,
and Sean and I were sitting there at Skybox again because we're classy.
Yes.
Sitting there smoking cigars.
Nice.
We're drinking Diet Cokes. Like we're not even drinking. Like. And there's some point I was like, God damn it, they need to get back on defense and yada, yada, yada. And at the end I was like, because that's what they need to listen to is two white boys in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yes, exactly. I'm going to say this, and you're probably going to hate me for it. I don't even know who won. I didn't get to watch it.
Virginia won.
Did they? Okay.
It was the first half was terrible.
Oh, really?
And it ended pretty good. It went into overtime. It's Virginia and Texas Tech. I actually said, this is probably going to be one of the worst viewed, like lowest ratings because nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, and it was late.
Virginia
it was like
started at 9:20.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like we were literally just going to watch Here's the funny part: we had been hanging out since like 9 o'clock that morning. Sean and I.
Oh my god.
We went and recorded a podcast out west, and then we had lunch and went to Smokies and worked.
Yeah.
And smoked cigars.
Wow.
Sat there and worked on their Wi-Fi, and then
like 5 or 6 cigars and
no, just one. And then left Smokies, dropped him off. I had an event last night and went to it. He showed up to it, and then he had to go.
Yeah.
And then we met up after that to watch the game, and we were both like, we're going to watch like the first half, and then we're going to get home. He's like, so I can get in bed before 11. He's been trying to get in bed before 11.
Yeah.
But the first half went so quick.
Yeah.
That I was like, I'm not even a third of the way done with my cigar.
Oh, my gosh.
I was like,
really?
It was because both teams couldn't hit a damn bucket to save their life, and nobody fouled.
Wow.
So it was like, it literally was like, let's say halves are 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I think
they
know.
are.
They're 20 minutes of sports ball. No,
Sports ball.
20 minutes. I swear, I think it was maybe 30 minutes. Like, it was so short. Like, we were both like, what the like, it was starting in the second half, I think it had been like an hour.
That's
and
crazy.
We're like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
Like, this is insane.
I think it was over by the time we were at we went to dog training. We've got a dog we've had for about a year, and man, she is a challenge. So we finally sought some professional help, and it lasted till like 10 something last night.
Oh,
I was
God.
like, we got there at 8 and we
Yeah.
left after 10 o'clock, but she knew how to sit and all that stuff. I'm like, I don't
Nice.
care. We're doing this again. So,
Yeah. I don't care what time it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's but yeah, it wasn't a very interesting game. I was joking. I was like, more people in this town care about is Rick Barnes coming back
Exactly.
or not
That's all
than
I
they
heard
do
about.
the national champion.
Yeah.
I kept hitting refresh on Twitter because I was just like, come on, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Any news.
Yeah.
And it
How about
broke.
that?
They did this crawl across the bottom when it was announced that he is coming back. And I was just laughing. I was like, I'm surprised they didn't just break into the damn game.
Yeah, no
Because
kidding.
screw the game.
That's
like,
funny.
yeah. Also, considering how awful it was, I was like, just break into the game. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. Put it up on a little
Nobody
little
cares
side
about
window
Texas
on
Tech
there.
and Virginia.
Yeah.
Although one gal was for Virginia at the bar, only 5 or 6 of us in there, and her boyfriend got drunk and started rooting for Texas Tech just to piss her off, and we were laughing our asses off. He was like, "Whoa!" He was screaming, and we were like, "This is annoying and hilarious at the same time." We loved it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we stayed and watched the whole damn game, and then went into. We were like, "All right, well, that was a thing." We just got up and left. Yeah, it was so funny.
That's good.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else before we dismount. I can't think of any. I think after I got done with the Fattest podcast, I thought of more questions, but hell, now I can't even remember those questions.
Yeah,
I think it was more about the being in shape and long in the tooth of being a firefighter and seeing some of that stuff. Or
he is very knowledgeable, and I enjoyed listening to his podcast because he hit on some of the political side of the fire department. And I'm like you, even when it comes to my job, I don't want to get into politics, and I'm kind of middle of the road when it comes to gun control and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't want to talk politics. I don't feel like I've been here for 9 years in the position, and working my way up, and I'm trying to find my niche. I think I try to evolve as a person anyway, try to get better every day, and the same goes with my career. It's just another side of me. So if I can control my diabetes and then
do you think
help people like that?
Is it, I don't know, is it 20 years or 30 years for firefighters?
I'm horrible at this retirement thing. I think it's 25 or until you're like 60.
So the normal
2 years, something like that. So
do you think even after you leave, you'll still kind of be involved, or?
I think so. I think I'll
because you've loved it for so long.
Yes, I love the fire service. That's probably my favorite type of like public, helping the public out or being constructive member of society. I'm not sure what retirement will look like for me. I really enjoy CrossFit too, and I've had ideas of like, well, do I get with like a organization that's already started that helps first responders, or do I kind of like do my own thing? Am I going to try to create my own business or something like that? But I don't know. We'll see. Right now, Samantha's creating her own business, and I'm seeing all the woes in that.
Dude, don't get me started. I can't. Yeah. It's funny because I was talking to another friend that her and her husband have started their own a bunch of different businesses, and we were talking, and she had hit me just at a point where I was tired of the BS about owning your own business, about the I'm a baller, all the bullshit, social media stuff, and she. It's funny because it's somebody I'd known for a long time, and I was a year and a half in, and she was like, I said something, and she was like, "You work for yourself?" And I almost went, "Really?
Oh my gosh, yeah."
Out of all the people, and I said, "Yeah," and she's like, "Isn't it just the best?" And I went, "Some days, some days not so much." And she was like, "But it's just great." And I was like, "Not always." And she literally walked away. I was like,
"Really?
Oh my wow, gosh. Man, you must have had it easy for a long time because it's It's
maybe there. It sounds like there's some of those people that just like, it's almost like, I don't have any kids, but I feel like I always hear folks that are like, oh, if you got one, you can handle two. If you got two, you can handle four. Like, but I'm like, I don't get that. It's like businesses.
Here's what I'll end on though, because I just said that, like, woe is me. I was working at PetSafe. One of my buddies, David Gailey, who's a electrical engineer, we were talking one day, and I was just stressing out about work. And this is something I think, although it doesn't work for you, but it works for me. It could work more for Samantha, not for you. He said, at one point I was stressing out and freaking out and getting angry, and he was like, "Hey man, it's just dog collars."
Oh my gosh.
"And you don't have cancer."
Yeah.
And I said, "And the apocalypse is not upon us." He was like, "Well, add that, whatever the hell you want." But he was like, "It's just dog collars, and you don't have cancer." So every once in a while when I'm doing something, I'm getting stressed out or freaked out, I have to think about that. It's like, it's just dog collars. You can't do that. But
Well-
Samantha can be like,
Well, but there
yeah.
there are some aspects to
That could
that
be
in
more of the
everyday life,
political
too.
side. Like,
Yeah.
you know what?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's about helping people.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
is. And I think it's about the guy next to you or the girl
Yeah.
next to you. You want everybody to go home safe, and as long as that happens, you know, I don't know. It's like you said something about mowing the yard. Like
Yeah.
it's just grass. You
Oh,
know?
well, if I could
it's
get my
fine.
neighbors to understand that. But
I
yeah.
heard about that in the
Oh, yeah.
one podcast. But
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like I've been needing to pressure wash my house for years. I need to do it
Yeah.
this spring, but I'm gonna make fun of her. Erin Slocum was fussing at me about it. She's like, I swear I'll come over, and she loves pressure washing. And I
Yeah.
was like,
that's therapeutic for some
it's
people.
just a
so-
house.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm also a single dude. It's like I don't care. Like
Yeah.
I know I need to do it. I know it needs it, but it's also like if I don't do it, what is going to happen?
Yeah.
It's just going to get dirtier, and it just looks bad. But I don't give a shit.
Yeah. You got the whole like don't sweat the small stuff. I
Yeah.
hate that sometimes, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's like I don't know. Samantha says I'm too easygoing
Yeah.
on some things, but I don't know. You can't take everything so seriously all the time.
Okay. Then I'll end on this joke.
That sounds good.
Somebody said, don't sweat the petty things and don't pet the sweaty things.
Yes.
Thank you. Good night.